This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of their affiliated organizations.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Patreon. To our special subscribers, we are here today to give you some bonus content. I'm Heather.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Ryan.
And we are the Ready to Connect podcast. And today we're going to do a special occasion for the ladies in green in honor of St. Patrick's Day, where women in green are connected to tragedy, betrayal, nature, or even death all around the world, including the United States. We hope you enjoy this episode and we look forward to hearing from you.
All right. Can I start first with one of my green people? So I have information about the Green Lady of Lavender Mountain, which is found in Rome, Georgia. It is a popular actual local ghost story, and it seems to be centered around a young lady whose name is Lindsay Elizabeth Will, and it's centered around the campus of Berry College, Berry, Berry College. She is believed to be a former student. Sometimes she's identified as a student who died in a tragic accident back in 1988. So the way the story goes around Lindsay Will is that she died in a bicycle accident on Stretch Road after having a fight with her boyfriend. So you talk about tragedy and death right there, right? Apparently they both were out riding their bikes and had an argument. And of course, the boyfriend rode his bicycle ahead of her, and it was getting dark. So he says like they parted ways in the dark as riding their bicycles, and he like rode on ahead to kind of ride off his anger. You know how you kind of like work through things that way. And then after he calmed down, it said that he turned around to go back to his girlfriend, but because it was so dark, they didn't see each other and collided. And Lindsay, she died because she suffered a head injury in that accident. So it is said that it now is reported to haunt the area around the campus there, and she appears as either glowing green fog or as a woman in a green dress. She's a restless spirit. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting there. And what I found interesting is when I was reading up further on it, the college there, Berry College's, the Student Multimedia Production Organization. So, as you're involved in college, you get involved in those kind of things. They actually created a four-part series that detail the mystery of the Green Lady. So if anyone's interested, you can kind of Google that and see what that's all about too. But that's the Green Lady of Lavender Mountain in Rome, Georgia. What do you think of that one?
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's a cool to attend college course there or something. See if you could see the Green Lady.
Yeah, there you go. That could be fun.
Yeah. I have one other, but if somebody else wants to pipe in and do one, or I can do this next one.
Let's hear it, Lisa.
All right. Still in Georgia, in Chickamauga, Georgia. I guess that's a battlefield too from the Civil War in Chickamauga, Georgia. There was a battle there in 1863. Apparently, it was a 2-day battle and nearly 35,000 casualties, which is the second highest in the Civil War, by the way, after Gettysburg. So when you have a lot of that type of tragedy and trauma in a battlefield, obviously all that energy will create haunting. So, of course, Chickamauga's battlefield has its usual, the phantom sounds of cannons and fighting. You see the ghostly lanterns, grieving family members that come to find their dead soldiers, right? And
a lot like Gettysburg, right? Where you're finding the land is, yeah.
And there's even a purported white lady that's searching for her lover there too. But there's a story of a ghost that doesn't quite fit in, so to speak, and that is Old Green Eyes.
Hmm.
Mm.
Old green eyes is pretty much that. It's just plain old green eyes floating in the woods. Sometimes these eyes have a body, and sometimes that body is human-like. But most of the times it's just a pair of glowing green eyes.
Okay.
Wow.
And nobody seems to know what the guy is doing there. So there's been some speculation that old green eyes maybe he's attached to a soldier who maybe lost his head, and so now it's constantly looking for its body. I don't know.
That's quite a
And that
folklore.
soldier had piercing green eyes. This is not quite the Green Lady, right? But it is something green for our St. Patrick's Day. There has been some reports of the green eyes being attached to a body that's not human, one that looks more like a cougar, like a
Huh.
big,
Whoa. Wait, like cougar is in the cat cougar, or cougar is in like an elderly lady being a cougar?
no, cat cougar, cat
Okay.
cougar. I don't know how you'd be able to tell. Well, I don't know. Maybe there's a way to tell a ghost is a cougar or not that way. But so, as far as it being a cougar, it doesn't seem to really fit unless there was a cougar in this battle that died. But doesn't really seem to fit. Although it might. There is another explanation that it's not a big cat, but maybe it's a horse because there were horses and soldiers that died on the battlefield.
Oh.
So anyway, it's very mysterious, and I think the fact that the ambiguity around it of what it is it human-like ghost? Is it cryptid more? What is it? A lot of local legend, but I can tell you this, that Old Green Eyes has its own festival.
Oh,
Um,
fun.
area does have the Green Eyed Festival, complete with a 5 and 10K run, Old Green Eyed run through the haunted area. It does have a scavenger hunt. It has all kinds of things, this festival. And if we want to go, it's on October 17th is this year's festival. So there
All
you
right.
go.
Wow.
So really, it's just Green Eyes is a little bit more than just a spooky figure. It really is sort of like a storytelling tradition now, I think.
Hmm.
But yeah, glowing green
Wow.
eyes. I don't know. I
That's
think of green
cool.
eyes and I think of a cat more than I think of anything else. But
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, like, how do the eyes even become green? Like, is it just what the energy? Is that what
yeah,
it could be? Okay.
I guess. I mean, how does anything glow, right? So
True.
yeah. But so one green lady and one set of green eyes is what I got there, all coming out of Georgia.
That's very cool. That's very cool. And Georgia's easy to get to. We can do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. Well, that was fascinating.
Very fascinating. I really like to understand how a cougar ended up there too. Like if it
Yeah,
was a cougar.
it doesn't seem to make sense as far as the cat being part of the battlefield, but maybe there is like a present day live cougar in the Georgia woods that might have populated over or migrated from Florida, maybe.
I mean, nothing's impossible, right? I mean, nothing's impossible. It could have, yeah, it could have migrated, or it could have just adapted to that atmosphere. Interesting
I,
though.
I personally like the story of it being a Confederate soldier who lost his head and the head is looking for the body.
I, I'm going to agree with you on that one too. Kind of like that folklore.
It's funny when I was doing research looking up some of the pictures I saw depict old green eyes really more as a monster looking creature than anything else. So,
Really?
That's
yeah.
Okay.
interesting.
So,
Hmm.
Interesting. Very
What
interesting.
did you find? Somebody else, another green lady.
What'd you find, Ryan? What'd you find?
Well, I found the Green Lady of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So it's a lesser known, actually, urban legend connected to the wooded areas of Fairmount Park in the trails around Wissahickon Valley Park in the Valley Green Inn area. So she isn't tied to one documented historical death or anything. It's mostly that her story kind of lives on through local folklore, campfire stories, and stories shared by hikers and whatnot. But the legend of the Green Lady, she is said to appear as a female spirit with a faint green glow. She's often seen moving silently through the woods near the trails and the creek. Some versions say that she wears like a long green dress, while others say that it's her skin or just the aura around her that glows green.
Whoa, is she like part of a nuclear bombing? Like, why is her skin glowing green?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think of
Better not be eating fast food.
I think of like Ninja Turtles. Like, did she accidentally fall into ooze? Like, I don't know. So, hope not. But but usually people have claimed, even though it's a legend, they claim that they have seen a tall female figure walking or standing among the trees. They feel like they're being watched while hiking, but that she'll kind of just disappear quickly behind the trees or into the woods when you see her. Now, the origins of the story, it just changes depending on who you talk to. So some people say that she may have been a woman who passed away in the woods. So they're saying like one version says the spirit belongs to a woman who died in the park centuries ago, either from getting lost or from an accident along the creek. Oh, here we go, Heather. So I forgot about this part. Her green glow is sometimes said to come from the moss, algae, tied to the forest.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
They say perhaps maybe she was poisoned or a sick woman that passed away in the woods. Or they're actually thinking another option is a nature spirit. So some modern retellings of the story say that the Green Lady is like a guardian spirit of the forest, protecting the woods. And
in researching the Green Ladies around the world, it was a common theme. Like they either had a green cape on, or they had green seaweed or green, so that would make sense. It's all folklore kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, and I looked up, if there was any like recent sightings of her, but they said no, like because it's more of a folklore. It's just the stories being passed down. That's what it is.
Yeah, oral traditions, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know how oral traditions work. They either get like a fish story, the fish gets a little bigger each time, or it gets a little smaller each time.
Right.
Big deal. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So that was it. So I found it interesting, though. But yeah, it'd be cool if there wasn't any recent sightings, but maybe a long time ago, maybe perhaps someone did see her. So
absolutely.
Or recent sightings, because then it feels like you could get down there and see it,
Bring some cameras, bring some recorders, right? Yeah.
Right.
Well, if any of our listeners have up-to-date footage or recordings, we'd love to listen. We'd love to have you on the podcast and share.
Absolutely. So Heather, what did you find?
Oh, so I found the Green Lady down in Virginia, the Ghost Bride of Crawford Road. She is one of the most famous legends of this haunted road in Virginia. And apparently this story has circulated for decades and has really grown into like a mix of folklore and tragedy and paranormal experience. So the place is Crawford Road. It's near historic Yorktown in York County. Apparently, this is a narrow wooded road about 3.6 miles long and no streetlights. So I would imagine that adds to kind of the lore of, the dark at night kind of thing, and makes it feel dangerous or kind of sultry or whatever. But this bridge is also known as Crybaby Bridge. The story comes from the 1900s to about 1930s. And it's a pretty common legend down there where the young bride was forced into marriage and she didn't want to marry. And so on the night of her wedding, she ran to the bridge and she hung herself from it.
Oh, wow.
And it was so dramatic. The nature of the whole story was very dramatic. Yeah, right. Could you imagine just being that desperate and just running away, first of all, and then just deciding there's nowhere to turn and to take a life, right? Take your life.
Yeah.
That's so sad. So sad. And so from there on, there was locals reporting that the woman appears near the bridge, and witnesses claim that she's a woman and with a glowing pale dress and described as faintly green in some tellings. In some other tellings, I guess she's the bride in white. But they say if you stand at the top of the bridge and you walk along the road, you can feel her energy either falling off the bridge or swinging. So in this instance, you have to be clairsentient, where you're a feeler, right? You're not necessarily going to clairvoyantly see it. You're going to feel like this fallout kind of feeling happening around you. Many people say when they travel over the Crybaby Bridge that they can see something in the rear view mirrors, which I equate to that clairvoyance of seeing out of our peripheral vision. And when we go to look at it straight on, it's not there because our peripheral is picking up the shadow and what's happening, right? In the cascading. But some drivers say the figure disappears very suddenly, which would be very common for a peripheral view where you look, but when you go to look head on, the cones and rods of your eyes just completely diminish the appearance, right, Lisa? So people say that the car engines will stall. So this is like totally theory testing, right? We need to go see if our rental car stalls out. Batteries will go dim, lights flicker in the car. I don't know. At this day and age, if my
That
hybrid
sounds more like UFO stuff, right?
it
Isn't it like
does.
UFO, and at least in the old movies, the car would like stall out and stop,
The
and
radio malfunctions, the
Yep.
old AM, FM.
Yep. Yep.
But they do claim that there's auditory phenomena. You can hear her footsteps approaching when she's about to do the jump off. People say that she whispers as she gets into place to take her life, or you hear the faint crying before she actually takes her leap. There's also a tale that coincides with this, that like people say there's like shouting in the background, and I really couldn't get to the bottom of that. If there was shouting in the background, I wonder if people actually saw her do this back in that era, or
they
if
out there going jump, 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 jump.
that's awful. That's
That was
awful.
awful. That was me.
Or
Maybe
maybe
don't jump.
Right.
don't
Maybe
jump,
they're like,
don't jump. Or
"Don't
maybe it
do
was
it."
her. Yeah, don't do it, right? Or maybe it was the man she was supposed to marry pleading with her. I don't know. I
Oh.
wasn't able to.
That could be interesting.
That might be part of the folklore. I wasn't able to kind of like find what these voices were saying, but surmising that this woman was jumping, I'm guessing that maybe some of the details of the whisperings or the callings were maybe somebody trying to discourage her from that.
Mhm.
But she felt she had no way to go. That's
Mm.
that's terrible. But then there was one small verbiage which I just take with a grain of salt, but they did say that there was rumors that at the time she did this, so the whisperings could have been the Ku Klux Klan.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They were gathering in the area. They saw the bride.
Yeah.
They saw her in tragedy. They went over to try to like help her. So I don't know. Right? Like it's all folklore at this point, and not able to connect with anybody that could actually like tell us more about the legend of this, right?
Right.
So yeah. But apparently you can cross this bridge. She'll interact with you. She has very interactive energy, which I would imagine like maybe she felt so desperate she wanted someone to help her, right?
Right.
Or a way out of this because she didn't want to get married. I mean, we know in olden times like marriage was arranged, and whether you loved them or not, we're so lucky in this day and age to get married for love, right? Or at least we think we're in love. Joking. I do know a few people who get married just to have the party. So I married a woman a couple of years ago who it was her 8th wedding, and she was divorced by August. And she, it was like, well, why did you do it? And she's like, I just wanted the $85,000 party on Newport Go Island. And I was like, okay, that's strange.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Red
That's
flag.
crazy.
So yeah, so the Crawford Road is really considered one of the haunted roads in Virginia, and the Restless Green Lady comes out. So maybe as we're traveling to our other places, we'll have to stop at Crawford Road. That would be great. Ryan, did you find anything else? Or Lisa, did you guys find anything else?
No, I just
No.
stayed with the 2 as bonus content. So yeah,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
always circle back to do more green people if we wanted to.
Absolutely. Well, my other one that I found was the Green Lady of the Everglades.
Oh,
And she's one of the swamp legends, the quiet swamp legends, as they put it. But I don't know how legends are quiet. But um,
maybe they're just tiptoeing.
yeah,
That's why
yeah,
they're quiet. Okay,
yeah.
tiptoeing and slowly walking around. Okay,
And I mean, how do you quietly walk through a swamp? Like,
I don't know. You float. I don't know.
I found it very interesting how, like, some of these stories are written. She quietly walked through the swamp. How do you quietly walk through water?
If you're a ghost, you probably aren't actually, stepping. I don't know.
True, true, true. I like that. I like that. But legend says down in the Everglades that the fishermen on airboats and captains have seen this green lady throughout the swamp, and stories kind of started building because some of the swamps down there were known for, crime and body dumping. And of course, there's always that kind of horror story or thriller stories where people who live in the swamps are, have eerie personalities. It's really fascinating how folklore just really kind of takes you all over the board, right? They're either really sweet or they're eerie or they live in a swamp. What's going on, right? So this legend, if I'm going to come back as a ghost, I'm going to come back loud and proud, man.
Okay,
Let you know I'm here, right?
there you go. Yep.
My poor daughter, she's in for it.
I think we'll know when you're back as a ghost. I don't think there'll be any we'll be able to tell.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Hopefully I get the legend of like the lady in red or something really cool with like the big hat or something.
Yep. There you go.
Definitely
Yep.
in red. That's your favorite color. Yeah.
Yep.
It is.
That
it
or
is.
hot pink, right?
Oh, I love hot pink, but that's the 80 girl in me. How about you, Ryan? What color would you want to come back as a ghost?
Probably green.
Probably green.
Yeah,
You'll be the man in green.
Yep, the man in green with the Kermit the Frog personality, and holding up feathers and coins.
Really? I would have thought it would have been like brown with the Sherlock Holmes hat and
Yes, but his ascot's going to be green.
So that's a good question. Maybe depending on the day, I could just come back as a
you don't want to be tied down to one thing or another. Yeah.
No. I'll be Detective Kermit the Frog.
There you go. Perfect.
How about you, Lisa?
Well, my favorite colors are purple and green, so maybe a combination of both. How about that?
There you
That
go.
sounds good. That sounds good.
I'll see.
Yeah, we just got to the part where she boldly goes through the swamp making no noise or lots of noise. Right? But this folklore comes from 1900s, again, 1930s. This is a folklore story, or it was a factual story that turned into folklore, let's say. And this happened during like that smugglers era where poachers and outlaws hid in the Everglades.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's where that lore was coming from, right? Like
Yeah.
that lore was totally coming from people running through the swamps, running whatever, probably moonshine, whatever.
Mhm.
Of course, nowadays it might be drugs. Who knows? Whatever gets
True.
you there.
Yeah.
Something.
Something. But there is all the way up into the 20th century, this story is still being told just about how the outlaws and the bootleggers and smugglers used the swamps to hide from law enforcement. And there was a lot of, there's a lot of reports of robbery in this swamp. And the reason why the Green Lady kind of appeared was she was a young woman traveling through the Everglades in the 1900s and was encountered by the smugglers and bootleggers. And unfortunately, she witnessed some illegal activity and most likely was robbed and murdered and was kept silent. So she was never acknowledged as missing or deceased. And she was dumped, right? She was dumped in the swamp, and the moss, obviously the Everglade moss and the swamp just swallowed her. Probably an alligator as well. I mean, right? So over time, they claim that.
That's so sad.
It is sad. It is sad not to have some kind of marker or someone to look for you or remember you, right? I agree. But she's described as a pale young woman wearing a green dress. And apparently this dress, you can see when she appears in her green dress that she's covered in moss and algae and swamp plants. Sometimes her hair looks like wet, tangled vines. Witnesses have said, and now mind you, this is like right up into current times, people say that she appears half human. I was like, whoa. So who would choose to come back half human and half like swamp lady? I don't know, but
Wow.
But that's how she appears. She is said to rise slowly and dramatically from the waters or the reeds, and as if like the swamp is giving her form and giving her, kind of her earth, a body, right? And then she floats in a green hue, and she slowly moves through the sawgrass. People say they have seen glows of her hovering over the water before the figure itself actually forms. And there's one report that when she appears that she will whisper in your ear and then intelligently move away from you, and she follows boats. If you go out into the swamp, she will follow your boat. And some people say she's natural gas that's venting from the swamp. It's quite all over the place how people are trying to tie science to it, but she's definitely a woman who stands knee deep in the water. And sometimes she's motionless, and then sometimes she doesn't, and then she just disappears very suddenly. So I think when I read something like this, I think of like, some of our thriller stories that are out there, some of our, horror stories that are out there, the green mist coming through it's almost Scooby-Doo-ish too, right?
Yes.
It sound like that.
Yeah.
As they run, the swamp lady following them after them.
Yeah. So very cool. If we ever can get that down that way, let's see if we can find the swamp lady. I'd really love to ask her why, because it appears that she's intellectual, like she's not a residual energy. She according to the reports here, she will interact with you. So I'd love to ask her why she chose to have like a swamp body, and why aren't you forming into a beautiful human? So, but yeah, that was my findings. I think folklore is absolutely fascinating, and folklore came from somewhere. I believe most of our historical folklore stories originated somewhere and just became a true story into folklore, right? We see that throughout history.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fascinating. Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, this extra content. We look forward to you listening to us again. And hopefully on March 29th, you come on down and visit us at the New Age Fair, shake our hands, and hopefully help us check out our pinned map of all our beautiful ladies we are researching.
Yeah, absolutely. That map's going to be fun.
Yeah.
All right. And so until our next bonus content, we look forward to connecting.
Thank you for tuning in to Ready to Connect. If you're interested in exclusive behind the scenes content, be sure to like, share, and follow us on social media by searching for Ready to Connect Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And for those looking to further support our podcast, consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/ready to connect podcast. And until next time, get ready to connect.